Okay, cool. So, all right, guys, we got obviously Skip Broom here, Chuck Duvall, both from District 5, the best district in the state, no hands down, no doubt about it. And both of us are back judges. Chuck's been back judge for a while in high school league football, but he also has done a certain number of years as a college back judge. Chuck, how many years have you done in college ranks?
I've done 8 years at back judge and I've done 1 year now at side judge.
Okay, all right, but definitely deep wing on everything. So,
That's correct.
yeah, and so you're deep. You're used to seeing all these types of formations, and since you get more snaps at the college level, as those guys get at high school, then you've probably seen a lot of stuff. So one of the things that I think that a lot of guys maybe have trouble with is when, even though we look at our mechanics manual and we see keys for knowing if it's basically a pass or a run play. Okay, there are times though when they line up multiple receivers, they may all put them on one side, they may spread them out on both sides, and if all five go out for a pass, it's a nightmare on a five-man crew. Absolute nightmare. Now, once we get to the seven-man mechanics, it's 10 times easier because everybody's got a receiver that they're responsible for, and all we have to do is focus on one guy, which is great. But it's not just focusing on one guy, it's also knowing what to look for when it comes to fouls. Just because somebody goes out, just because you're a back judge and somebody goes out doesn't mean that the only thing you're going to look for is offensive or defensive pass interference. There's so many more things that can happen, and you know that. So, what I wanted to do is I just wanted to go over different formations, make sure that we just kind of see a bunch of different formations, and then talk about which one are we focusing on? What are some things maybe we can say during pregame that can help the crew out, not just a back judge, but the crew, because especially from the email that we received last Friday, right before we all left to go on our games, is that we're going to live and die as a crew, and ultimately that's true. We are going to live and die as a crew. So let me start by sharing this one thing here. And I got to get to the right thing. Okay. And we will go from there. All right. You can see this, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Fantastic. All right. So I'm just going to go through this um, kind of like one at a time, and let's just talk about different things and go from there. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So, and as you can see at the top of the screen, I have the name of the formation. So we have just a traditional I formation. So as a back judge, and we can go 5-7 if we want to, since we've got seven-man mechanics coming up in just basically 2 Fridays. As a five, and we've got one more game as five-man mechanics. So on a five-man mechanic, we've got your tight end over here on the right hand side. Um, as a back judge, what are you looking at? What kind of simple things are you looking at in a formation like this?
Well, I'm looking through. First of all, let's determine whether we're going to have a pass or run off of this formation. Um, First thing I want to do is pick up that key there. That tight end is going to be key to what I'm looking at first initially. But at the snap, I want to make sure I follow him just for a second. And we talk about keys as being initial responsibilities. Okay, we're not, and then we're going to go to what's called zone coverage. But we're gonna key on that tackle on that right on that side to see if he's going to drop that foot back and go into pass protection, or if he's going to block down and go into a run blocking scheme. I'm going to key on him and then move immediately to that key, which is that tight end, and see what he's going to do. Obviously, if he's going to block, um, your power on this formation is to the right side. So normally, you would probably want run some sort of sweep or RPO to his side of the field. So you're going to look for that initial takeout block by that key if we have a run play. And when I'm talking about a takeout block, we're talking about a potential low block, BSB, or block below the waist on that end on the defense.
Right. And, this is a formation I don't see a lot of because you just have more guys, or I should say more teams, running a shotgun type formation than you do
Yeah,
an I like this. I mean, this just is not common. But I think the key thing you said is looking at this tight end. And, because if that tight end stays back, we know that that's probably not going to be a running play. He's going to
correct.
be throwing it somewhere. Now you said the magic three letters RPO, which sometimes that throws the lineman off because you get your ineligibles downfield on an RPO, especially one that maybe takes a little bit longer to develop than other ones. But yeah, that's good stuff. And I don't know if you say this in pregame. I always tell um, my wings, hey, look, I'm gonna need some help out here on this receiver and this receiver, especially if I have another guy sitting right in this area or on the opposite side. Of course, you'd be covering, but still. And we'll talk about that when we get to the different formations, the other ones. Okay.
Mhm.
So, again, something you don't see a lot in high school is the split backs because again, we talked about guys going from the shotgun, but maybe real super fast. I'm thinking almost the exact same thing. I'm still looking to see if what that tackle's doing, and then going straight to that tight end. Because if this tight end just releases straight out here, he could, he could run a lot of things. But yeah, that's definitely going to indicate a pass play for me. What about you?
Yeah, agreed. I totally agree with that. Just make sure you got a good first glance in on that tackle, see what he's doing, and then go right to that tight end. And the time element here, guys, is very short here. You're not. I mean, this is bang bang. I mean, you're going tackle, then tight end, and then you may have to go immediately to zone depending on, if the play comes into your area. So
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but on the snap, I'm dropping a step. I'm usually, and you can still watch your keys as you're doing that and then watch for that tight end because the last thing you want to do on anything like that, especially these RPOs now, is to get caught flat footed. And the next thing you know, a receiver's like by your side and
yes,
you're not going to turn and catch them. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, the key thing and one of the things mechanics manual is keep everything in front of you all the time. So,
absolutely.
definitely want to make sure we do that. All right. I've seen this a lot more in high school,
And
and
this is what we see, Skip. This is more what we really see here.
yeah. So this is a nightmare for a five-man mechanics.
Hmm.
So again, this is where I'm telling my wings. I'm like, look, I need help with the X receiver. I need help with the Z receiver because these guys are the ones that really really bother me in
Hmm.
this situation. These guys are the ones can cause havoc, especially if you've got this inside guy coming out and blocking,
Exactly.
and the ball crosses the line.
Mhm.
Um, that's
If you got
something.
if you got press coverage, Skip, on these guys over here,
Mhm.
you've got to make sure you've got to keep your eye on them for just a little bit longer. And of course, when are we going to see this? Red
Goal.
zone.
Yeah,
More
yeah,
than likely, red zone.
yeah. I mean, a lot of times in the goal line, you'll have this set up, and this guy's going to come over and crack a linebacker to open up for some pass that's over towards, I would say like the corner, not necessarily the back corner of the end zone, but right across the goal line. He's trying to get something open, or if we're throwing right here and sneaking a guy into the end zone that way. But yeah, you got to catch that. And if you throw a flag, and let's say it's on the 3 yard line, and you see this guy come out here and hit a linebacker right there, past the line of scrimmage, and the ball, you see a pass, and as a back judge, and I know you know this, Chuck, I don't know if the ball's crossed the line of scrimmage. You know,
Not
I and
necessarily. That's correct. Yeah.
I don't assume it's crossed the line of scrimmage. I throw my flag, and then I'm going to run and go talk to my wing and say, "Hey, man, did that ball cross the line of scrimmage?" And he's going to communicate with me, and he's going to let me know. And then, of course, we have offensive pass interference if that happens, and we have to catch that stuff.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else on this empty formation?
No, that's just like I said, antenna's got to go up for OPI on that formation right there,
All right.
especially in press coverage.
Yep. All right. So we see this a lot too.
Oh yeah.
And so, what are you telling your guys, especially, and what are you asking your wings on a formation like this?
Please give me a good signal. Give me the two wag off. Give me two wag off on that right side. When I'm talking about two wag, the two fingers in the air, two back, that means I know I got my tight end eligible, and I'm watching action on him based on the strength of the formation, which is to the right. I'm going to open my hips slightly, obviously, to that loaded side of the field. Loaded side, obviously, being the side with the most eligible receivers on it.
Yeah. So can you say a little bit more, especially for maybe if some of the guys who are watching this are new to the back judge position, can you kind of paint them a picture when you say open your hips more to that side? Just kind of tell them what that means.
Usually, the strength of the formation will kind of tell you where the play is going to go. Now, that's not always the case. Obviously, we've got an eligible receiver on the other side over here, so they may fake a screen to one of these guys. Let's say X over here, green X. He might drop back a step. They fake a screen, and then they run like a fly pattern with this end over here, H. So you got to be aware of that. But usually, I'd say 85 to 90% of the time, the strength of the formation will tell you where the play is going to go. So what I'd like to do is when I say open my hips, it's just a slight, let's say, and so the strength on this is to the right side. So I'm going to open my left foot slightly to that side of the field, turn my body just slightly. I'm not ignoring the other side, but I'm kind of keying in on that tight end. Okay. Watching what he's going to do. Initial, like I talked about earlier, initial responsibility. Watching what he's going to do, if he's going to block or he's going to go downfield, and create some sort of potential problem down there.
Gotcha. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Mhm.
All right. Now, in a 7-man, let's talk about this for a second. Because if you're playing a back judge in a 7-man, if I'm not mistaken, this is your key right here.
That is correct.
And if you're a deep
short wing has X, and a deep wing on that side will have Z.
Right. And so, as a back judge in 7-man, you've got those inside guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Correct.
All right. Okay. No tight end here.
Correct.
Again, this may be a different formation coming out of the shotgun, but the concept's still the same. And I've seen this out of the shotgun.
Oh yeah.
So, it's a trips formation again. So, in 7-man, Y is a back judge all day long.
Exactly.
But this coming Friday, we still have to be careful of that Y. But we're also overloaded. So I usually tell my guys 95% of the time, that ball's going over to that loaded side.
Exactly.
And you do have an X out here, and we've all probably put our eyes over on the opposite side of the formation, the loaded side, and then the ball goes to X. It happens. And in a 5-man, this is where your wings are very important, to help you out to make sure that they catch any junk that goes down on their side.
Skip, on the initial setup of a play, I'm looking and trying to identify all my eligibles. I'm using my wings, obviously, for their signals to tell me who's eligible. And then I'm going to go and, open my hip slightly to that loaded side, like we said, but I'm also going to keep in the back of my mind, I've got X over here. I can't ignore X over here on this left side of the formation, my right. So I'm keeping an eye on him. And like I said, this is another formation where they'll fake a screen or a quick down and out and then throw to X because they may, the defense may load that side and have single coverage, man coverage on X. and that's where the offense wants to go. That's the reason they are overloading that right side.
Right, right. Yeah, you never know when the ball is snapped. You can play percentages, which is kind of what we have to do in five-man mechanics is just play
Right.
percentages. But this is one of those times to where, the percentages may not be in our favor and it goes to that side. And, if you miss it, then, I mean, you miss it,
It's
it happens quick.
it does happen quick in 5-man. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, cool. This is where we had almost the same thing. It's just a tight end now that
Right.
comes up on this. And I
Mhm.
think we've kind of probably talked about this again. Now this coming up Friday night, last of five-man mechanics. Obviously looking for pass. Looking to see what Y does to see if it's run or pass. But what else can tip you off as to where the ball might be going in something like this?
Uh, like we talked about, let's say we've got was that green S?
Yes.
Let's say he takes a step back off the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
So what are your antenna goes up for? Probably
Well,
a screen, right?
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Wide receiver screen, something like that. Um, and don't forget, you can have some different plays, interesting plays off this formation. You can have a reverse off of this. And so you're looking to see if these receivers might take a step back to receive a screen, or if they're coming back toward the quarterback at the snap for a potential reverse. And just keep your antenna up for things like that.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and it's important, if we are catching that, that's great. But again, as a back judge, one of the things that we do, or I should say we never do, is that line of scrimmage. We don't rule on anything on that line of scrimmage ever.
Yeah.
That will get our crew in a lot of trouble if we say, well, I had this as that, and then no, not from 30 yards away, you don't, you know. So we had a play actually last Friday night where they threw the old bounce pass to a receiver off the line,
Mm-hmm.
and he threw it for a touchdown. And
Mm-hmm.
sure enough, I was backing up, keeping everything in front of me, and I saw that pass hit the ground, and I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing nothing on that until that play is blown dead by everybody in front of me, you know. And sure enough, straight up touchdown. So yeah. All right, moving on. So we got this. I've seen this a lot. I'm sure you have too.
Oh yeah.
Again, though, but the quarterback is moving back by that running back. They just don't go under center much at all anymore.
It's called, in modern terms, they call it the pistol formation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't quite. Seems like he gets not quite as far back as the shotgun.
Right.
Kind of squats down a little bit more. I think I remember Nevada using that a long time ago in
Yeah.
college, and it became really popular. But yeah, so I'm just going to turn it over to you. You tell me 5 and 7 on this one. Tell me 5. What are you looking for? What do you need help with? And then talk to me on 7 from both a back judge and then a deep wing perspective.
All right. So let's keep in mind here, we've got basically a balanced formation when it comes to receivers. I've got 2 eligible on my left. I've got 2 on my right. So in this situation, when we talk about opening the hips, I'll probably just open slightly to the line judge's side of the field on this, because obviously you're doing your pre-count with him. I'm definitely taking a look at Y initially on this play, but I also want to focus my attention a little bit on S on this. You just don't know, where these guys are going to go, and you just have to wait for commitment on this play. Whether they're going to go downfield, whether they're going to drop back for a screen, whether they're going to run block based on the type of play we have. So you just have to be keen on that and just wait for commitment on this play.
Okay. So let's talk about 7-man. Uh, where are you looking on 7-man as a back judge?
All right, 7-man as back judge. Your deep wings obviously are going to have X and Z. I'm actually going to help with Y on this as well, on the line judge's side of the field. That's where I'm going on this play as far as initial responsibility key. But again, don't discount S on this play.
Mhm.
You know, he's in what I would call a deep slot formation, if you will. So you got to watch him as far as coming off that line and potentially pick blocking a linebacker or a corner that's probably maybe on press coverage on X over here.
Mhm.
He might go to his left and pick block that corner, allowing X to get open for a slant. So just be aware of things like that.
Okay. That's good stuff right there. And that's the garbage that we have to look for on things like this. It's all, like I said, it's everything that's not pass interference as far as a guy going up to catch the ball. That's what I mean by that.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So this is a little bit different. I'm just going to bounce between the two slides real quick. Here we had Y split out in an
Mm-hmm.
inside. Now we've got a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to assume that your philosophy is going to be kind of the same. You're
Pretty
looking
much
to
the
see,
same.
right,
Yeah.
see what Y does. And I think this would probably be easier, in a 7-man as a back judge, you're still keying in on Y, are you
That's
not?
correct. Yes. Yep.
And so you've got your deep wing's got Z, your deep wing has X, and then of course, if this is the line judge or the linesman side, whichever one it would be, your short wing's going to have S. So
Correct.
all these guys are covered up, which is good. Okay, great. All right. Don't really see this a lot. I would probably say this kind of goes to some of the things we saw earlier. Um,
It's
in
kind of
terms
like that I formation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
pretty
we'll just
much.
kind of we'll go right over that one. Okay, now this is interesting. You're not going to see this a lot, especially the more A's you have on a football field on Friday night. You're probably not going to see a lot of this. However, in the lower A's, you'll see a lot more of what I'm talking about in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of a formation we don't see a lot of. So talk through this, Chuck. Talk through this one and say, hey man, this is what I'm looking for.
All right. So obviously we have two eligibles. We're facing the formation off to our left, one on the line, one off, and we've got two backs, offset backs in the backfield, and we've got X over here to our what would be our right side, looking at the formation. Um, so we've got to wait for committal on this as well. I'm going to look at X on this, um, and then take a look at what is that? Skip red eye there.
Which one?
All right, the
This
one at
one?
the end.
This
No,
is
not that
T.
one. T. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I'm going to also wait for T to commit as well. You're just going to have to, because a lot of times these guys they'll cross. T will go right, and then what'll happen is Y, that tight end, will go right off of his hip and catch the ball, and T will then become the lead blocker
Hmm.
for that tight end. So you're just going to have to wait for commit, or it could go the other way on that play.
Okay. Okay.
Um, you know, and a lot of times it's single wing. Most of the time, they're going to run out of this formation.
Hmm.
So again, be very keen, especially with low blocks off of that left side. And when I say left side, our left, when we're facing the formation.
Okay.
You
So we're,
can,
we're still looking at this side right
yep,
here.
yep, right there.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I'm still saying that that's the strength of the formation on this play,
Hmm.
just because you've got those two eligibles so close together. and then you've got those two backs. So don't discount. I've seen a play, Skip, where they'll fake a pitch to the right, and then pitch it back off to the left here to Blue, and have him go off to our right or the left side of the formation. And again, you just have to watch that tackle that's next to Y and see what he's doing, and then be keen to that opposite direction play.
Yeah. That's right. I think Garrick says it best a lot of times when he'll say read and react. And this is one of those ones you have to read and react to.
Exactly.
I mean, any type of formation where there could be about a billion different combinations of a handoff. You're kind of waiting to see, you're trying to read it. And some of those guys are really, really good at tucking that ball or giving it to somebody else or whatever. And you just have to wait and kind of watch the play develop and then go. So
exactly.
Yeah. All right. And again, you probably see this at the 1A level. You definitely will see things like this at the 1A level.
Oh yeah.
And
again,
so,
we're balanced here. We have two eligibles to our right, two to our left. Just be very careful for 90% of the time. This is a running formation. Watch those low blocks on that corner. Make sure they're legal. We'd have a toss to the back here on this, pitch back to the back, or a sweep. Of course, you could run an RPO out of this. So will you drag Y or H off that line of scrimmage and do a quick down and out or a quick slant or something like that?
I've even seen stuff like this where they're basically almost running like a skinny post on this. And, the H or Y guys, and whoever's the best receiver, they're going out for a pass, and they're past the second level of the defense by the time they realize it, And if you're not careful, if you're not watching that guy come out of that, he's going to pass you,
A lot of times, a lot of these teams, especially at the single A and double A level, they will use this formation to run a lot out of, and then all of a sudden, when you're not expecting it as a defense, they'll do exactly what you just said. They'll run that skinny post on you and then try to hit one.
Yeah. And, that's the pass that I hate to see as a back judge, is a one coming straight from my head.
Right at you. Yep.
I hate those passes. So we'll talk about that in just a second too. Philosophy on that one. All right.
Yep.
So this is a T formation. I don't recall seeing this a lot. I remember when Holtz came to South Carolina, he used this sometimes. It was kind of a funky formation, but again, I think at the 1A level, you still might see things of this nature. I'm going to assume that you're going to say it's very similar to what we just saw. You're kind of waiting for the play to develop, but you're also making sure that H or Y doesn't do this or this or this. So keeping everything in front of you is the main thing. Reading the play, reacting to it after you've read it. And this one might take a while to read because, in these types of formations, that quarterback usually squats pretty low. And when he comes up, I have no idea, what it's going to be. So our illustrious Zoom monitor just said we had 10 minutes left. So I'll see what else we got cooking and we'll go from there. Yeah. You know what, Chuck? That was it. So
let me just say one more thing about this formation. This is this is not only for us, but the entire crew. This is definitely a see the ball formation. This formation can get us in trouble with an IW in a hurry.
Yes.
That quarterback, Skip just talked about that quarterback kind of crouching down to even add to the deception of this play. So we really have to know, and you might have like a double fake on this and then a handoff. And if you don't see that ball, you may not know who has it initially. So just another point I wanted to make on that.
Well, at least, oh, wait a second, I had a couple more here. I'm not going to go over the flex bone too much, but there was one that I definitely wanted to go over. Not the wishbone. Uh, there's so many more. Let's talk about the swinging gate. Um, I'm seeing this more and more. Saw it a bunch Friday night,
Hmm.
and actually saw them run a play out of it on Friday night. So, um, you're back there, you're underneath the goalpost. You know,
Yeah,
you're
you're
right there in the middle of the field
right
if
in the middle of the
that's where
post.
they want, if that's where they want the ball to be placed.
Mhm.
So let's assume, I mean, if they go to shift for a kick, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
Let's say that they don't.
Okay.
Go through your kind of progressions in your brain about saying, "Hey man, this is what I'm looking for on this."
Well, my first keys I want to take a look at are H and W. Okay. Um, they're
These two right here, correct?
correct. They're bunched, and they're in open field. I call it, based on the formation. So the deception is them. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, the strength of the formation obviously is obviously to my right, but the deception is them. So 9 times out of 10, when I see a play run out of this formation, it's to the deception side. They're trying to get all the flow of the play to go to the left, our right, and then they're going to throw the ball back to W. And typically, the defense is going to have most of their defenders off to my right. So they're going to have like a 2-on-2 situation, um, on my left side. So that's why I'm going to key these guys over here initially.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. And we're probably looking for the ball to go to what? W on this one?
W. Yep.
Yeah.
I would say the
And
ball is most likely going to W out of this formation.
and unless for some strange reason they snap it to H and this H is what I'm talking about, and
Correct.
tries to somehow run it in.
You're right.
Um, but have you seen where instead of snapping it back, they're snapping it to the side?
Yes. I've actually had a play where that occurred. Probably it's been about 6 years ago. Um, and it was just a simple, the continuous motion off to the left,
Hmm.
uh, completely legal play.
Hmm.
And what happened on that play was W actually took the ball, and Blue X had single coverage on him, and they threw almost like a fade to single X, and he caught the 2-point conversion.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah,
We
that was
have,
a very interesting play.
yeah, and you got to wait for them to stop shifting too, because we had one where the coach even told us at pregame, we're going to shift twice, and then we'll shift back into a formation if we don't like. And I'm like, and I'm thinking as a back judge, okay, you've got 25 seconds to do this, you
Hmm.
know, and that's vital for them trying something like this because they don't want to, they'd rather do it from, they wouldn't want to do it from the 8 yard line. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. No, no,
So,
this is not something you're going to run for a 20-yard gain.
right,
You're
right,
going to use this on a try more than likely, or if you get brave enough, maybe a 4th and 1 or something like that.
right, right. There was, I did see something that I kind of wanted to, go back and I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see. That's not the one I wanted to do. Um, talk about quads real quick. We've got about 4 minutes left. Talk about this formation where it's just, I mean, it's just loaded on this side. And let's talk 5 and 7 because this is different for a 7-man mechanic because you've got four eligibles on one side of the field.
Correct. All right.
So
So
talk
what?
five first.
Let's talk 5, and we're looking at the orange guys here first. That's where we want to key on first. And again, this is going to be a committal type play, and just be keen on these guys crossing each other to create a diversion or potentially a pick block here.
Okay.
Just be very aware of that. Um, you know, in a 7-man on this side. The deep wing's got Z. The short wing is going to take S and Y, and then you're going to have
That's T.
T.
Yeah.
So you're going to take T on that. But in a 5-man, you're going to have to take both of those, and that's the difference.
So, and when you talk about this again, and it took me years to kind of visualize this in my mind before I said, okay, this is what I need to look for on the field, is you're talking about them coming out here, and
Correct.
oops, I didn't mean to do that. You're talking about them coming out here and here and here.
Here. Exactly.
And so we're just kind of looking in this general area, but as we are backing up at the same time, we cannot get caught flat-footed on this.
Correct.
You know, so speaking of getting caught flat-footed, and I did say I wanted to come back to this. Let's take, for instance, that let's say you have this formation, okay?
Mhm.
Again, quarterback's back here, good balanced formation, and you see, you know, Z's going out, Y's going out, X is going out. We're going to say H is going to stay home, okay? Maybe he needs to help block. And all of a sudden, you have Y that's going up and he's bending a little bit in. And all of a sudden, you see that quarterback launch the ball.
Mhm.
And you're going, why is he throwing the ball to me? I am not on his team. I mean,
Exactly.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
No,
So,
it's like the ball being hit right directly over the head of the center fielder in a
yeah.
baseball game.
And they can sling the ball, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and you're not getting 35 yards back. You know, you're starting maximum 25 yards back.
I actually had a game this year. I had Camden and White Knoll on a very important play. It was Camden was 4th and 15 on the 19, and I'm on the. I'm sorry, it was on the 30, and I was at about the 10. The problem was I should have been on about the 5 because they ran that exact play, Skip. And they had to score on this play to tie it up and potentially send it overtime or win it on a 2-point conversion. And I moved to my left to try to read it, and the ball was coming right at me, and I moved back right, and I moved right back into the path of the football.
Mm-hmm.
And yours truly got trucked by the linebacker on that play. And, you know, got a nice little bruise on my arm for about a month and a half. Luckily, I didn't impede the play. But lesson on that is get enough deep, get deep enough, you know, get 25 off and read it. And when I say read it, make sure you know where the player's going and the trajectory of the ball. And take one peek of the trajectory and then move to the right or to the left. And once you commit right or commit left, you've got to stay with it.
Right. You cannot crisscross. Right.
You
Absolutely.
cannot make a decision to go back left. And that was my mistake on that one play. And I knew exactly what I did. Number one, I didn't have, you know, I was 20 off, and with 4th down and 15 at the 30, I should have been 25 off.
Yeah.
So get your initial positioning based on situation.
Right.
Sometimes.
Right. All right. Chuck, thanks, man. We are out of time, but
All
this
right.
is good stuff, and I'm going to post